Hey, Sandy.
Hey,
How are you?
good. How are you?
I'm good. How are things in Atlanta?
We're having a fall festival tonight, so it's a little bit busy.
Oh, good for you. Well, that's good. Does the school system have a big part in that?
Yes, it's at the school.
Yeah. Those small communities, yeah, especially traditional old ones that had schools back forever. That's still a big thing in the small towns.
Mm-hmm.
More so, I think more so in South Carolina than North Carolina. Um, but I don't know if I ever bored you with the story of the Ellenborough Fair. So in Rutherford County, um, they had a Rutherford County Fair at the fairgrounds for years, and then they moved it over to the racetrack at Harris, and eventually it just became it kind of went away, the county fair, but it all shifted to Ellenborough because they'd always had a fair down they had a cotton gin, coal, ice, tradi- traditional small town stuff. And so the school got involved because the school had been there forever. And when I was middle school principal there, I ran the fair for one year. I ran a county fair, the whole thing. I'm talking about we had the rides in the midway, the carnival, we had the vendor. I mean,
Wow.
you know, but part of the problem there, and one of the things that I didn't make a lot of friends there in the community while I was there over the idea was is they want to take all these thousands, tens of thousands of dollars worth of profit. They just want to buy more property with it. And I was like, no, we want it for the school. The teachers all worked here for 2 weeks, for a week of the fair and half a week before and a half after. They worked here with no pay all these hours, and you want to give them like $100 for their classrooms, and you want to take 100,000 to buy another piece of property.
Wow.
You've missed the point of what we're doing here. And so I was not popular with the local town elders in that this is crazy to continue just to buy more and more and more property for the fair. We're not holding the fair. Oh, they had the farm equipment out in the gym and all that business, and they had
Wow.
crafts in the gym and had all the old antique. I mean, it was like, but we're doing this because we need money for our schools, giving teachers.
Yes.
I mean, you're paying them like 50 cents an hour for all the work that they've done, and acting like they ought to be that they ought to be honored to get it and beholden to you for giving it to them. You didn't give them anything. They worked for a whole lot more than this.
Mm-hmm.
So suffice it to say, I was not popular with the old geezer crowd. But that's part of what's wrong with schools. We have people who get involved in the governance of schools who don't have the right thing at heart. So, Jimmy, I see that you're here with us tonight. We're going to get to you in just 1 minute. Let me see. I want to see if I let me exemplify my point. Let me share my school, and this filters right into facilities. Okay. All right. So, you came in off of mine. All right. And so this is the little town of Ellenborough right here, and this is Martin Street. and they have, all right, so this is where the original school sat right here. They've torn it down in the middle school. As you can see, the building is still here, right here, and another building. But by the time, and this is quite a large area here, so by the time that they abandoned this facility for the new school, the school owned all this here, all this out here in front, all of this, all the way to the Hollis Road, all of these things right here, this tech center. That's the old middle school building right there as well. This one right here. They owned all of this. And people said, well, they're collecting it up so when they build a new school. But here, wait a minute. So what did we do? We went, that. So what they did, because this was over here in town and had all the old stuff, the old plumbing, old water pipes, um, just was completely not buildable. They went out here about, was it 2 miles out in the country and got a site that was going to cost like a tenth to build a building on because of what they were going to have to do to tear out all that old infrastructure downtown and all those old septic lines and power and all that business. And it goes back into what we were talking about with our facilities is, and I think Sandy was even talking about this. You want to get out of the middle of town. You want to get away from all of that stuff and all the problems that you have. And they just went 2 miles away and bought a nice field out here and built a building. And so the whole idea that all them old guys, and even I said this, when I was there 36 years ago, that why are we buying up all this stuff and just tearing it down to have parking for the fair? And then the coaches, all they do all day long, rather than teach, they go out and mow grass because we had all these ridiculous areas of grass that had to be mowed. I mean, this is like, folks, this is like a 20-acre block right here, and it wasn't anything but grass. So, but to get back to the original point here, I'll stop my share. The people of that town forgot what the purpose of the fair was and the fundraiser for the school. They thought it was to buy property. And then they would justify that by saying, eventually we'll build a new school here. No, you won't. You start trying to dig out old infrastructure and water and pipe. There's no, I mean, that old town, they don't tell them what they'd have gotten into. And that's what the architects and the planners told them, said, we can't build a school here on this. And went 2 miles out in the field, got out of the middle of town, got out of all that trouble, built a nice school, and now all that property just sits there vacant that they could have used to help educate children for all those years. But again, that don't fall for the banana in the tailpipe. A lot of those things that they're buying up, that property ahead of time, it's not suitable for schools anyway. And that was always the alibi or the excuse on that place was is we're buying it up, for future use. We're going to build a new school here. No, you're not. No, no, you're not. They never were, because smarter people knew that you can't build on that. But I think of all the money that was wasted on buying that property over the years that could have been spent educating children. And that was my argument when I was there. I was not quiet about it either. Um, and I negotiated a big raise for the teachers, and boy, that made them mad as fire. I said, we won't do it unless they get $500 a piece. They have to have $500 a piece if we're not doing it. We won't work you fair. You can go hire you some people. Oh, they thought they could make us work the fair. No, you can't make us work the fair. Um, and so I held them up and got a little money, but not a lot. And that don't make me a good person. I'm just obstinate. Jimmy, are you going to do what, 16 through 18 tonight in our book?
Yes, sir.
We're burning daylight.
Okay, hold on.
Share your screen and get started. Thank you all for joining us this evening.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay.
You need to have a little more enthusiasm. I don't think it's the volume. I think it's the enthusiasm, Jimmy. It's dark, I guess. Jimmy's done lost
Well,
his
I just
will.
got finished coaching and had some ice water thrown on my body.
Oh,
Yeah, in the cold. So that's what I'm trying to get myself back together.
yeah,
But
you're trying to get, y'all must have won.
yeah, we won. We got a dance right now. So I'm in my
Yeah,
coaching
that's where
position.
Lauren is tonight. She's
Yeah,
in the dance too.
yeah,
But no, she's award show, I believe she said. They're doing banquet for volleyball or something.
yeah. All right, y'all. Oh man. But definitely, always good to see everyone. And
Try
one
to get
more
as close
blessing.
to your machine as you can get so your volume is really going on in and out as you're moving
Oh,
forward and back.
okay.
Try to get
Let
up as close to your machine as you can.
let me let me turn up my volume there. Hold on.
Yeah, that'd be a good thing.
Yeah. All right. I hope that's better for everyone. Uh, okay. All right. Okay. All right. Chapter 16, orientation and evaluation. Jimmy Gauss, EDLS 740. All right. The overview is after a new school is building is accepted.
Jimmy, as you bob back and forth, you're going in and out. You got to
Okay.
be still and get close to your machine.
Yes, sir.
We can't hear you.
Okay. My apologies. Overview. After a new school building is accepted, orientation ensures everyone understands how it functions. So, during the orientation, most people, when they have an orientation, they make sure they know everything that's going on. Now, I know as far as when I actually got a chance to interview some of the people that are power on that end, my manager, as far as that manager on our board, which is the finance manager, and I also did get to interview my other, far as I'm sorry, she's over Beth. She's over the nutrition that I had also got an interview too. So I understand when they got to go through the functions to do those things and be successful. Um, Success depends largely on teacher perceptions and how well the design supports instruction. The goal is to ensure staff, students, and community can effectively use and appreciate the facility. The purpose of the orientation helps staff learn how the building supports the educational program. Students navigate the facility and they understand safety and learning spaces. The custodial staff operates the systems efficiently, and the community recognize and value the school as a shared resource. As tonight, for example, they use with the PTO, they actually run their fundraisers through our school, but we also use our school also with the rec center. So they also use our facility at end. Now our school is very old, so it's been around since like 1953. Roles in the process: school board policy, the approval, and the dedication. Administrators, communication and leadership. The teachers, the orientation and communication, and the students, they guide and they participants. The architects who design and they explain, and the public with their dedication and participation. The evaluation, yeah, the post occupancy evaluation covers both the process and the product, the building, the accuracy, the cost, and the function. And the process, the planning, the success, and the community and participation. And the goal is to improve future planning and construction efforts. Chapter 17, planning for technology. Technology drives education through affordability, miniaturization, and innovation. Schools must integrate technology strategically for learning and equity and sustainability. The school readiness, the challenges, rapid technological changes, outdated infrastructure, unequal internet access, and financial limitations for upgrades. Special issues, staff preparation, early ongoing training, technology support, maintenance and repair, equal availability, fair access, uniformity, compatible systems and software. Key takeaways is technology planning is integral to school design, focus on equity, infrastructure, and sustainability. Collaboration ensures long-term success. Chapter 18, issues and facility planning. Public schools are efficient yet face major future challenges. Key concerns are economic, political, and technological and facilities issues. Economic political factors, economic downturns limit funding. I think we're going through that right now with our government. Politics influence facility priorities. Educators must advocate with data and persistence. Equity and legal challenges. Disparities in facilities quality persist. And I mean, I think right now, along with how the money is flowing from the state, from the private to the public school sector, it's a big difference. I know in our county right now, we are really having meetings now about consolidating schools. And from my previous school that I graduated from, which is E. Smith High School, they supposed to be getting one, but I wouldn't be surprised if they throw something in there. I know there have been an uproar because of so many alumni, but it's something that's in the upcoming future that I think is going to be a factor because they had an opportunity to build a school on Fort Bragg and they wouldn't have had to pay anything, and the federal government was going to pay for it. But the other people that the alumni of the community, a lot of the older alumni was against it. So, but that's a little insight into our little situation that we talking about now, as far as a challenge on that end and with the money and the functioning. The equity ensures all students learn in safe environments. Technology in existing buildings. The tech gap between schools and industry must be closed. Aging buildings need major upgrades and investments. And in Cumberland County right now, we have several buildings that are in those type of situations right now. And that's why they kind of in shambles a little bit because they so old. And a lot of our schools like that have been beaten up. Now it's time for, like, well, have been built up like Jack Bread and Grays Creek. They already been around for about 20 years now. So now they gonna need upgrade. But now the older schools that have been around for a very long time, like my middle school I'm at right now, it used to be Pine Forest. It used to be one of the high schools. So but it's been around so long. But they need to upgrade it. Um, Integrated planning connects facilities with educational goals. The key takeaways from the facility planning must anticipate uh, change. Schools need modernization, equity, strong leadership. Strategic planning today builds sustainable schools for tomorrow. Thank you. All right.
All right. Let me turn my camera back on. You can stop your share there, Jimmy.
Yes, sir.
All right. All right. I'm going to Y'all see that? Chipmaker's $5 billion factory sits quiet with empty parking lots. Anybody know about this place in Siler City in Chatham County? They promised 1,800 jobs. You have to subscribe to read it. Um, there's some related articles. Why am I bringing that up? They've went bankrupt. They were going to build another $3 billion facility in Durham. They didn't do that. Why am I bringing that up in an educational facilities class? Is that relevant to educational facilities? You better believe it. How much money did the state of North Carolina take from schools, by the way, and give to private developers like that to bring jobs? I've told you this before. You've got to remember. It's not that we can't build schools, we don't want to build schools. Every time we do an economic incentive, just like Facebook built a facility in Rutherford County. Let's Google it right quick. Yeah. How many cars you see there? Four. Why don't you see any cars there? It's a data plant. How much did the state give of school money to build that? $100 million. How much did the county give of school money to build that? $20 million. They got 12 jobs. Every time you see either a county or a statewide incentive for businesses, that money comes directly from schools. Directly. That $5 billion plant, North Carolina, I think, gave what, $400 million of school money to those people. They immediately went bankrupt, gave the executives big buyouts. Probably stole of that 5 billion, probably 3 of billion was stolen during the construction phase. We choose not to build buildings. It's not that we don't want to or that we can't. We choose not to. We choose to give it back to businesses because all the graft and corruption that can occur and the stealing and the pocket lining and all of those kinds of things. We know what kids need. It's not a mystery. You don't have to undergo any great search to figure out. We know what kids need. We know what building needs they are. We choose not to. As I told you, North Carolina, in order to slow down integration of schools, got out of school funding building facilities in 1966, left it up to the local. And so since they don't have to come up with money, they do a yearly budget for schools and they don't have to set aside any for building any schools. They can just take whatever money they want and give it as economic incentives for businesses to come in and build facilities with jobs that rarely show up. Rarely show up. Anybody been out in northeastern North Carolina? There's a big, what was it? Trying to remember what they made out there. It's in Wilson. And they were all excited because some company was coming in and taking it over. And I was out that way and I drove by to see it. They had 4 cars in front of one little building and the rest of it was fenced off. Um, School construction is severely lacking in this state and in South Carolina, not because we don't have the wherewithal. We choose to spend it elsewhere. So I can pull up dozens of things like I just pulled up the Facebook plant, that all these different things. So I'm still with you. My question to you is, what are we going to be able to do, we as educators, to convince the public to build equitable facilities for students? What are we going to have to do? That's the political question. We know what to do. We've gone through all this book. We know what we should be doing, we know everything there is to know now about how you go about building a facility, from letting the bond to all the other stuff that you can do. But how do we convince the public to do that? That's the $64 question, is how do we convince them to do that? It's like Jimmy's talking about. They're talking about consolidating, closing schools down. Um, you know, claiming they don't have money when you see they have plenty of money for the things that matter. We have plenty of money for the things that matter, which is giving it to businesses. We don't have money for schools. That's a political decision. That's not an economic decision. My argument is the money is there. It's just not coming to schools. What can we do? This is not a rhetorical question. Well, what can we do to convince people to get behind public education again and not privates and charters, which are private businesses? Again, there's a lot of graft and corruption in those. What can we do, folks? I don't know. You tell me. Do we even need to be teaching a facilities class anymore? Since we're not building new places, not going to, and that doesn't seem to be a priority in our society. I think we still need to learn how to do it. I think it's of value. But my question is how we're going to get people to do it. It's not the issue is not knowing how. The issue is not knowing how to get people to do it, to convince people that it's a need in our society. That's the issue. Going back to my Ellenborough story that I started with, those old guys, it was a business to them. They didn't want to spend any of that money on the school educating kids. They wanted to raise tens of thousands of dollars, even into the hundreds of thousands of dollars, but didn't want to give the school any. Now they wanted the school, all the faculty to work the place, both the elementary and the middle school, to work, free labor, but didn't want to give them any money. And that was in the late 80s. Now that whole pervasive attitude has pervaded the whole state in terms of how we don't want to give any money to schools. How are we going to turn that around? Anybody have a suggestion? All right, looking at my screen, top left, Sandy. What's going on in your community tonight?
Our fall festival.
Your
I think
fall festival.
I think you have to figure out what you can do for the community
There
and
you go.
show them that the school is a piece of the community and
There you
that
go.
it provides things.
Yes.
And it
There
has
you
to
go.
provide things for everyone
There you go.
from the bottom up. I think because it's harder with the those people that don't have children,
Yeah,
don't have
exactly.
children.
People like me, grumpy old people that don't want to pay. Yeah. Yep. That's exactly right. You got to show added value. That's the answer to the question. That's exactly the answer. What Sandy's got going on in her community tonight, where the school is actively involved in things like that, where the community can see the value. They're not going to come and watch what goes on in the room every day. Most people drive by a school and never give it a second thought about what's going on in there. It's just another building. But if they can see you adding value in your community, that's your only hope right there. That's it. We're going to have to go back kind of old school where we're involved in our communities again. We get involved in activities. We get involved in events. We become proactive. We show value outside of just educating kids. Now, I know that sounds crazy because you've heard me say 1,000 times what they do at Jones Sausage. They make sausage. What's our core competency in the school business? We teach kids. But nobody comes inside the building and see us do that. They don't see the value. We're going to have to get involved in things where they can see the value. That's the answer to the question. That's exactly the answer to the question. I'm still with you. Is we must extend beyond the borders of our campus and our classrooms and become full partners in the community again if we expect to ever turn this around where we can't get a pot, where we don't have a pot to pee in or a window to throw it out of, where we're just starved for any money to educate kids or build facilities. We're going to have to again provide value. We're going to have to do that. That's the key. Otherwise, it's only going to get worse and worse. I mean, what's the big crisis going to happen in 2 days in our society? 2 days. A crisis like you've never
SNAP,
seen in your lifetime.
SNAP benefits are
There
going
you
away.
go. Why is there not a hue and cry across the country? Because people don't see any value in those people. They don't perceive that those people provide any value in society. They just a drain on society. I've heard that. Again, the color of my skin and my age, I get to hear a lot of stuff that y'all don't get to hear from people with my color skin and my age. The things that they say, they don't care because they believe those people. I believe the term that I hear most is burden. They're just a burden on society anyway. They don't provide any value. You would think with the crisis that's going to hit in 2 days, my wife asked me at dinner tonight, what are those people going to do? I said, starve. That's what they're going to do. But we don't care because we don't care about those people. They don't provide value, or in our estimation, they don't provide value. Should we have to get out and do that? No, but we're going to have to. We're going to have to find ways to get out and work in our community to provide value that is tangible, that people can see if we expect to be able to be in the funding cycles. That's the trick. Now, who's the new superintendent in Cumberland?
Dr. Brayson.
Where's he from?
He came from Johnson County.
Where was he at before Johnson?
I thought it was in Clinton. City schools, I think. That
Where
way.
was he before that?
I didn't hear about that one.
Let's look. Isn't his name Eric?
Yes, that's correct.
He was raised in Weldon and Roanoke. He began his career as a fourth grade teacher in Northampton. He was a principal in Vance. He was in Durham. I met him when he was in Durham. Superintendent in Northampton, Sampson Johnson. All right. Why is that relevant? What has been his history?
I mean, he turned around everywhere he went, from what I know.
Yeah, but the problem is that everywhere he went. The second half of that statement.
He moves a lot.
He moves a lot. Why does that matter?
He probably plan on moving after this, huh?
Well, yeah. What's wrong with that? As somebody who moved, I moved during my career, but what's wrong with that?
I guess ain't no consistency.
Well, I mean, to get the community behind you, do you think if people think that you're only going to be there to make a splash and get the next biggest job, how far behind you? I mean, they're going to be way behind you, way back behind you. That's part of the problem right there. Is we've developed a class, and again, I was one of those of administrators that didn't stay in the same place their entire career. Does that break the link to the community with the schools? Absolutely, it does. Absolutely, it does. You're not seen as part of the community. You're just the help. You come and go. If things go well, you're going to launch into the next biggest job. If things don't go well, then you're going either way. What's the average tenure of a superintendent in North Carolina?
Is it
The
two to
three to
three
five
years?
years.
I thought it was 2 to 3.
Less than 4. So what does the community know? This, meet the same boss, same as the old boss. He'll be gone 2 or 3 years as well. Does that encourage communities to get behind you and to get involved? Does that encourage you to get involved in your community? Not really. So we've created a class of administrators, and again, I'm guilty of this as well. That move frequently for the better opportunity, for the more money, for the jobs, and because we do that, we don't have homegrown people. People don't stay. People aren't a part of the community. They don't have any roots or any connections in the community. We don't, the schools, as Sandy said, don't connect with the community, get involved and promote the community, and people don't see any value added from schools. This is a superintendent training program. Now, don't get it twisted. I'm not telling you that you need to, stay at home and be there for 100 years. That's not what I'm telling you. What I'm telling you is because of the nature of the superintendency and its short tenure, we have pretty much lost our ties to the community. That's what that has wrought. That's what that has done. And the only what that we're going to get back in line in the funding cycle is to show value and worth in our communities. And that means that we're going to have to work hard and be involved in our communities. And even if you are somebody from outside, you're going to have to come in and work to become a part of that, or at least convince people of the merit and the value of the school district. Most folks, when they move around, that are what Jim Lyons at UNC Charlotte used to call cosmopolites, um, people that moved around a lot. That was the phrase that he coined. Um, if you're going to be one of those people, you're going to have to work harder, and you're going to have to be more invested in the community. But cosmopolites tend to invest in themselves in their careers. and not the community. They do what's best for them and not for others. And that was one of the arguments that Jim Lyons made years ago, is that just because you can move, do move, willing to move, doesn't mean that you're not committed. You need to be committed to the district and not just to yourself. That was the point that he was trying to make. And so I know this is a facilities class, but right now we're not building facilities. And the reason why we're not building them is because we don't have the money and we don't have the public support to get the funding. And so if we want to build decent facilities for our students and our faculties to work in, we're going to have to reconnect with our communities. We're going to have to get back into in with the people who make the funds, and they're going to have to be able to see the value in us, the everyday person, the people of my generation that don't even have, that don't have kids or grandkids, that they're so old that they don't have any of that, but they can still see the value that school provides in their community. That's the challenge if you're going to build any facilities going forward. I mean, there's no school construction going on anywhere right now. It's just not happening. There's just no money. And again, we talked about this. To let a bond, who has to come up with the plan to pay it back? That would be your county commissioners. They have to get the state, even if the local people vote for the bond. That's the first thing, is if you can get people in your community to see the value in schools, they'll vote for your bonds. If they don't, they won't. And then the county commissioners, even beyond that, the county commissioners have to see the value and have to have enough political pressure on them that they'll say, "Yep, we'll add another penny to the sales tax, or we'll reassess property this much millage, and get enough money to pay that bond back." That's the starting point right there. We got to have bond money. Places don't have enough money to build it on their own. We got to have some bond money. We've got to get the state, we've got to have enough political clout in the state house that when there's $100 million up for grabs, it doesn't go to some business that promises jobs that never show up. That's your issue. So facilities are more about politics than anything else in the business right now. More politics and facilities than anything else right now. And so I still believe that it's relevant to teach you all about facilities, but I also you need to understand that it's not just like we're going to build a building. That's not going to happen. There's a lot of work behind the scenes that's going to happen. A lot of connecting, reconnecting with the community, a lot of value added stuff that you're going to have to do if we're going to get back in the funding cycle for buildings. I won't see it in my lifetime. I might see it in my lifetime, but certainly won't see it in my career. I'm a short timer. But what I hope is that some of you in your careers will get the opportunity to be the people out front and connecting with communities. Even if it's an adopted community, you came there from somewhere else, but that you understand that your time and your energy should be in community relations building rather than resume building. Um, that's what we're going to have to do. There's nothing wrong with Dr. Bracy. He's a nice man, but now everybody knows that one way or the other, he ain't been going to be there long, good or bad. He either gets to go to the next best place, better place, or he goes to a worse place, one or the other. That's kind of the nature of those things right now. I think about some of the small Western districts. In my opinion, they have the best opportunity because most of those people, um, they can't breathe if they get down off the mountain. And most of them tend to be from the area and tend to be generational there. Um, if they could kind of turn the tide, I think it could sweep across the state. And maybe some of the far eastern counties again that are generational places. Um, but the population centers, there's so few people are from there, and they tend to hire people, from outside, just like we're talking about in Cumberland. I don't know that it can start in those places, but it's got to start somewhere. And that's my soapbox tonight. I've been planning this soapbox all day. Is that we got to start somewhere. We got to reconnect with our communities, or we're never gonna. I mean, we're all going to be in old buildings falling down. Uh, you know, um, Hopefully none of y'all had to work in some of the places that I worked in my career with all the asbestos in them and all those things. I mean, at some point, um, we need to do better for the folks that work in our buildings and the kids that go there. We need to do better, and that's going to be up to us as school leadership. All right. Anybody else have anything for the good of the group tonight? We're going to be together not this weekend, but next. I will be in Goldsboro on the 7th, and we'll have class on the 8th and 9th. On the 8th, we're going to go to McCall's for lunch. Um, and so we have our plan. Let's look at our weekly schedule before we go, as we always do. So tonight is our next to last Zoom. Then we get together for the weekend, and then a week and a half after that, on the last Thursday night, we're trying to finish up before Thanksgiving. On the 20th, if something were to happen, we could always do a makeup on the 4th, but I believe we're good. I think we'll make it. If we make it through that class, we'll finish up the week before. Make sure that you work on your evidence, the capital expenditure plan, the CEP. Make sure you get that done. Let's see, the semester is over. We'll get done on the 20th. Um, when is the semester? When's everything due? Let's look at that right quick. Uh, why I can't access the calendar tonight? Let's see. Hmm. Still forbidden. I am guessing Let me
I
see.
thought I wrote the 5th somewhere.
That my guess is that all work will be due on December 5th.
Okay.
That's exactly right. That is my guess. That commencement is supposed to be on Friday the 12th, and coursework is generally due a week before commencement. So even though we get done on November the 20th, that will give you 2 weeks to conclude everything. Make sure you get it all in. Specifically, make sure that you get your capital expenditure plan done. Again, it doesn't have to be War and Peace, 20 pages is more than enough on that capital expenditure plan. So don't spend an inordinate amount of time on that, but make sure you get that done. All right. Everybody seems to be doing okay on their dissertation. Um, you got to have some momentum coming out of your last class semester. Get on that thing. Everybody's got their committees formed, got the people that they're working with. I can drop you in my shell and get you to turn it in. I'll be glad to read your stuff. Whatever needs to be done, make sure that you get on that. Um, and try to have everything in. I'll wait as late as I can to put final grades in, but try to have everything in by Friday, December the 5th. All right. Anybody else have anything for the good of the group before we go? All right. I will see you in Goldsboro in a week and a half. All
Have
right.
a good evening, Dr. Lamb.
Dude, thank you. Good
Good
night.
night.
Good night.